Hey, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another Chamber Check In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I'm so excited to share a little bit about First Interstate Bank, our local banker. We have Market President of Southern Idaho with us today, Mr. Jeff Hune. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
I'm terrific. It's a beautiful day outside. I can tell from the background of your window in your offices that were just built maybe 5 years ago. I'm just enjoying this kickoff to summer. How about y'all?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I can almost see your office, Paul. But yeah, we've got a great perch here at the entry to downtown coming right off the connector. So it is a gorgeous day.
That is such a great location that you've been blessed with. And coming into off the connector and leaving the connector, you can see the big First Interstate Bank logo. It's so cool.
Yep.
So Jeff, these chamber check-ins are really great ways to share our member stories, their products and services, and most importantly, the people. And I'd love to help share and learn myself a little bit about your background and history of work that led you into the financial industry. Jeff, if you don't mind, just kind of sharing a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I'm going to just put that out right now that I'm a California native, but I've been here. Just going to rip that Band-Aid right off, Paul. But I've been here in Idaho 20 years. I went to college back in California, and I was a finance major. And as a finance major and a pretty simple-minded guy, I thought finance majors should get into banking. So that's what I did. But more specifically, after I graduated college, it was during a recession. It was in 1990, there weren't a ton of jobs available. And my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, sent me what many in your audience may not know. It's a classified ad out of a newspaper. It was a clipping. I had actually moved back home to San Diego, and my girlfriend was still in the Bay Area, and she mailed it to me, and it was for a management trainee program at a small bank in the Bay Area. Short story, I got that job. So I got my first job in banking, and it was in a supermarket branch. So it was a branch located inside of a Safeway grocery store.
Wow.
It took me 9 months to realize that I didn't like working inside a supermarket as a banker. And then but since I was already in the industry, I had that on my resume. I was able to get a job as a credit analyst with a commercial bank. And then that led to a loan officer position at another bank. 20 years ago, we made the decision to move here to my wife's hometown of Boise. And I've been here since. So.
What a great story, Jeff. I've actually never heard that. You never plan on doing what you're doing. And I always remember growing up, my teachers would say, well, you're probably going to have 3 or 4 careers throughout your life. I had no idea I'd ever be working at a chamber of commerce, but now I'm in my 10th year here. And this is a great story that you're sharing. So what is your role as market president of Southern Idaho? Tell us a little bit about your role and the territory and how many branches to serve.
Sure. I'll start with our territory. Southern Idaho really describes the greater Treasure Valley. And we have 15 branches in our market, and we're on the Oregon border, so we're in Fruitland. And then we go all the way over to Mountain Home. And then we're in Emmett, in Kuna, and then kind of all points in between. So we've got a handful of branches here in Boise. My colleague Beverly Toy manages one of our larger branches in Boise. We got a couple downtown Boise, some in Meridian, in Caldwell, Star, Nampa, Eagle. So really just the greater Treasure Valley. And my role is, I've got profit and loss and balance sheet responsibility for this market. So I've got great people that do the day-to-day management of our branches. And then I've got a couple of folks that manage teams of commercial lenders. And a lot of what I do is just tracking how we're doing relative to our goals, kind of monitoring what the economy looks like in our market, see if we're taking advantage of opportunities and managing our risks well, and kind of being a walking billboard too, just being out in the market, evangelizing about First Interstate Bank.
That's awesome, Jeff. And you do such a good job with that. I always love talking with you, and whenever we connect, it's always positive, and I just love it. So congratulations on your appointment with First Interstate Bank, because I know there's been changes over the years and acquisitions and mergers, and that seems to be constant in the financial industry.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that history. Where did First Interstate get its roots, and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a great story. So we were founded in 1968, and not to brag how young I am, but that was the year of my birth. And we were founded by a gentleman named Homer Scott, and Homer Scott worked for a company called Kiewit. And for those that are familiar with Morrison Knudsen here in town, Kiewit was in the same line of business, a big global civil engineering firm. And Homer had reached the age of 65, and so he was forced into retirement, but he wasn't quite ready to retire. So he actually bought a small bank in Sheridan, Wyoming, in 1968, and through a series of other acquisitions and then growth of that bank, it became First Interstate Bank. And so today we're headquartered in Billings, Montana. We have grown both organically and through acquisition, and we're now in 14 states. And I've been with the bank for 15 years. That includes some time with Bank of the Cascades, which was acquired by First Interstate Bank in about 6 years ago. In that acquisition, that was a pretty pivotal acquisition for the bank, because at that time the bank was only in 3 states: Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota. And with that Bank of the Cascades acquisition, we moved into Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. And then about 2 years ago, we acquired a bank out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and that took us into another 8 states. So we're not in any major markets. That's just not the kind of our MO. Boise is a perfect example of the type of market that we like to be a major player in, kind of growing markets, very diverse economies. There's, our markets, we do a lot of agriculture. We do a lot of commercial real estate lending. We do a lot of lending to, service companies, manufacturers, pretty diverse types of economies.
You'd mentioned a little bit about lending. So why don't you give us a 30,000-foot view of some of the services and products that First Interstate Bank offers its clients?
Yeah, so we have the benefit of we operate like a community bank. So I have a fair bit of autonomy in my market, and the people on our team have a fair bit of autonomy. We've got local credit approval authority, but we've got a decent sized balance sheet, being in 14 states. So I like to say that we can lend from soup to nuts. So we can do the small loans for consumers or for small businesses, including SBA loans. But we can grow with our clients too as they grow, or we can work with some of the larger companies or developers here in town. So we do lines of credit, we do equipment loans, we do auto loans for both consumers and for businesses if they need to buy some trucks or some just cars for their folks and their sales folks. But we also do construction lending for commercial real estate. A lot of apartment complexes here in town. We have financed some downtown condominiums. We've financed a lot of industrial buildings recently, so really a diverse set of loan products.
I love it, and I bet you're seeing a lot of activity. We're such in a resilient market as well.
We are.
Being in the Treasure Valley, there's a lot to say about that. But you'd mentioned being able to provide soup to nuts and loans. And I also wanted to just comment a little bit about your team, because we saw Beverly Toy on there. With your team and First Interstate Bank's community-minded message and mission and vision, you get involved in your communities. And I just want to say thank you for your investment in the chamber, because you guys have been a part of our board of advisors. I've been a member since 1988, so only about 2 decades after the company was spawned. You also invest in our board level at the Boise Valley Economic Partnerships and in the Young Professionals Network, and serve on our financial industry advisory board. And that's just the chamber stuff, right?
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your team and your team's commitment to community.
Well, that's a huge part of what we do. There's the financial part, and then there's just the use of our time. And so let me give you a couple of examples on that. On the use of our time, we encourage our folks to get involved in the community, sit on boards of directors. Beverly, who you mentioned, is one of our most active people in the community. And we've got folks that sit on Boys and Girls Club boards, and all these other various service type organizations, teaching financial literacy and things of that sort. And then we also encourage folks to volunteer their time. And a good example of that, and we're not alone in that. A lot of companies do this, and a lot of banks do this, and we're proud that we're one of them. But we do a volunteer day where, with the exception of one branch, we'll keep one branch open because we've got to continue to service our clients. But we'll be closed for the entire afternoon on a work day, and everybody goes out and volunteers in the community for an afternoon. And then what's really cool on top of that is those volunteer hours will match that with a financial donation on an hourly basis. In fact, anybody in the bank that volunteers time for a qualified organization will match that volunteer time with a financial donation. We'll also match people's personal donations to nonprofit organizations. So if I make a $500 donation, it becomes a $1,000 donation with our matching program. And the other thing that we do bank-wide is the bank donates 2% of its pre-tax net profits to nonprofits within our communities. And so so our market here gets our portion of that, and we get to decide to whom we're going to donate that money. And so we have autonomy on that. We recognize that what's important in Billings, where our headquarters is, may not be the same as what's important right now in the Treasure Valley. And so we support organizations like United Way, all the Boys and Girls Clubs throughout the valley. I'm really excited about a donation we just did for the Breaking Chains Academy in Nampa. If you're not familiar with them, look them up. Go meet Luis, the director there. They help kids kind of break through the cycle of gang membership and become, keep them out of the criminal part of the justice system, and a tremendous organization. So things like that. And, in that one in particular, we had a branch manager in our Nampa office said, I want to support this organization. And, we have a group of people that we call it our contributions committee. And we decided, okay, we're going to support that community. And in fact, another example, Paul, it's kind of funny. I had somebody reach out today looking for a donation to support a local Optimist sports group. And I was reading through the letter, and I couldn't quite understand how much they wanted. And I said, well, how much are you looking for here? And they said, just $75. Oh. And I said, well, could you use 500? And so just that ability to say, okay, here, really getting down to the grassroots is what the fun part of what we do.
I love that story, Jeff. And you supported the Little Leagues as well throughout the time that I've known you. So thank you for that support. I agree. It is supporting that next generation, helping support them and their families. I love it. So events and any news, what's coming up, Jeff?
Well, like I mentioned before, we've got our volunteer day coming up on September 13th. And so what we're doing on that right now is reaching out to local organizations saying, hey, could you use 10 people? Could you use 20 people to help paint a break room? We're reaching out to Bogus Basin saying, hey, can we help clear some trails for you? That sort of thing. We've got there's some events that we're sponsoring that are coming up this summer. There's this is golf tournament season. Another organization that we're really proud to support is Whitco, the Western Idaho Technical, and I don't remember the end of it, but it helps developmentally challenged folks with job training and job placement. Tremendous organization. One of our lenders, Brian Falks, who's in our Caldwell office, he sits on their board. He introduced us to that organization. If you're looking for popcorn at the holidays, they make the best popcorn. So reach out to them. They've got a golf tournament coming up in July. We'll be a sponsor of that. So this is a great time of year to get out of the office and get involved in the community.
Well, I really appreciate the time that you spent with me today and how you go to business talking about others. That just tells me the credibility of the organization and your mission and vision as a leader, Jeff. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Paul.
A couple more minutes. I want people to know that scrolling on the bottom of the screen is firstinterstatebank.com's website. If you want to find more, if you want to volunteer or get some more information about some different organizations and all their products and services. But Jeff, are you experiencing any need for help as far as careers? What type of available positions are open currently with First Interstate Bank?
We always have positions available in our branches, and it's a great. I started in a branch. It's a great entry point into the industry, and so from tellers to financial service representatives, and in being here in Boise also. We have a lot of positions here that are supporting the entire bank. So we have a client service center that more or less a call center that doesn't just support this market. It's a great. People want to live here, and so it made sense to put that support center here. And the other cool thing about banking is you don't have to be interested in finance to get involved in banking. We use a lot of computers in banking. We're online, so we have a big IT department. We do a lot of marketing in banking. So if you're interested in advertising and marketing, there's roles available throughout our footprint for that. And the other we talked about community. We do a lot of research into what are the housing needs, what are the low income needs of folks in the communities like that. So where banks are all involved in what's called the Community Reinvestment Act and making sure we comply with that and be good stewards in our communities. So we've got positions that do a lot of research and that sort of thing. So it's a very broad, a lot of broad career opportunities in banking.
Hey, before I let you go, how many employees are in your territory? Just quick.
We are directly here in the Southern Idaho market, plus a lot of those other folks, the support folks. We're over 200 people here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to the next time we can cheers and at an upcoming event and get together. Yep. Again, thank you so much for investing in the chamber and the broader community, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Paul, this is such a great service that you do. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Have a great 4th.